Welcome to the bonus show. This is a live version that we're doing here today on Thursday, August 7th. Lance, how is August already upon us? This is wild.
I know, right? August 7th. We're already basically halfway through August. We're basically at the end of the summer. We're basically into fall right now. So we might as well start embracing the autumn feeling. The leaves are going to start changing. I don't know if you do any gardening, but you probably should start planting your beets and radishes now, your good root vegetables, get those in the ground. So, yeah, with that announcement, Tim, that this is August, a lot of emotions come with that. But yeah, doing great. How are you? Actually, yeah, are we live? How is everybody?
We are
How are you?
live. Yes, we are live on YouTube. I'm doing great
There
over
we are.
here. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, we have put out some good episodes this week, and we want to talk about some of them, kind of break down a couple of those releases, notably Wednesday's Crawl Space release
Mhm.
with Chris Connelly about the murder of Dr. Eric Garcia. And then we want to speak about the disappearance and murder of Holly Perrine from Missing today that was just released, and that is a really tragic case that we can get into as well. Also want to go over our upcoming release schedule and some of these interviews that we've got, Lance, that we're really excited about. So it's a packed bonus show here today. And hey, this is a free sample of the bonus show, Lance. And
Yep.
for our premium subscribers, you are going to get this every time we do it. But for the public free listeners, we're thrilled that you're here. Thanks a lot for listening. But this is not going to be a weekly occurrence. But we wanted you to know that this is what we do on the bonus show. So if you like it and you want to subscribe, you have ways to do that on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. You can do it on Patreon. And you can really just click through right there on Spotify. You can find our Patreon page. And there'll be a link in the show notes. So hopefully you join the premium show.
Yeah, I want to just say that our premium show, our bonus show, is a little different than others. We don't have guests typically come on the bonus show and offer that as never heard before interviews that you have to pay for. Like every interview that we give is for the public. So this bonus show, for the most part, I'd say 98% of the time, is you and I showing more of a personality behind the scenes, talking about all of the things that we're excited about on both of our shows coming up, even on all the shows that we have coming up. So it's very coming from a more personal platform. We would never, unless it's something so, I don't know what it would take for us to release a public episode with a guest and then say, for the inside dirt, sign up for our bonus show where we release that, where we have them on for deeper conversations, because we want to give people what they signed up for free. So what you're not going to get during Crawl Space and Missing and Empty Frames is us doing this, having a conversation and just talking about the things that excite us in all aspects of our world.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we try to stay pretty focused on the shows. Obviously, if we have a guest or if we have a story we're discussing, that's the subject. We try to keep our opinions out of it for the most part, unless we're doing final thoughts, which we really
Right.
enjoy doing. But this is kind of an extended final thoughts, and some of these episodes don't have our final thoughts segments. So we really do need to kind of express our feelings and discuss these cases. Like, for example, in the Holly Perrine episode that we just released today, I feel like I could have gone on for 20 minutes at least, just speaking about how terrifying the story is, and also how, in putting together the episode, I realized that the guy Frank Sumner, who is connected to Molly Bish's abduction and murder, looks a lot like the guy David
Pulot?
David Pulot. Yeah, was that his
Yeah.
name? Pulot. Yeah. From the Holly Pyrenean case. So I don't know. I know in the episode we ended up saying that, these cases probably not connected. We kind of go through a lot of the suspects, but one name that we didn't mention in Molly Bish's case was this same guy who comes up in Holly's case. And honestly, he actually looks more like the composite sketch that Molly Bish's mom gave, then the composite sketch that she gave looks more like Dave Pulot than it does Frank Sumner Jr. or Sr. So yeah, a little confused by that, I would say. And that didn't make the public episode.
But you're right. I mean, it is, listening back to it and thinking about it, even when we were putting it together, like talking about it, it is, I mean, it sounds so like generic to say, but it is a parent's worst nightmare. This is the worst nightmare that could happen. And we're talking about it, and we have to make sure that all of the details are accurate and out there so that the story can remain being told. But still, at the same time, like you have to take a step back and just be like, this is madness. This is, somebody did this to a young girl. I mean, she was 10, like, it's difficult to kind of separate yourself from going over details and trying to move the story forward and not just kind of get, I don't know, lost in the horror of the whole thing.
Yeah. So yeah, Dave Pulot, that was the guy that was a person of interest in Holly's case. There are some other ones as well, but yeah, I was a little startled by how much David Pulot looked like the composite sketch in Molly Bish's case. It's really that big bushy mustache is really what it is. Now, I kind of think that the Sumner guy also looks like the composite sketch, but in the photos that I've seen of Frank Sumner, he doesn't have the mustache, but everything else is there as far as the look of him. But I wonder what Molly Bish's mom thought, like, because she would have seen this David Pulot suspect in Holly Paranen's case, because that happened in 2012. That came about, so I'm pretty sure Maggie was alive and around at that point. Molly Bish's mom. So I wonder what she thought. Jeez.
Yeah, because there was overlap there between the two families and between the conversation, because it was such a similar set of circumstances and the area as well. And I can't imagine that his name and or his likeness didn't cross her path at some point. And yeah, I wonder if she's like said the same thing, like, this guy is also very familiar looking.
Yeah. I wonder.
And he was, did you say that he was from Springfield? This Pulot
No,
was from Springfield, so not
right.
Not a far-fetched concept there. Springfield.
No, yeah, he apparently used to fish and hunt in the area where Holly's body was found in Brimfield, Massachusetts. And he was forensically linked to the area where Holly's body was found. The DA kind of stopped short of saying like he was forensically linked to her body. He stopped short of that, but it seems like he's a pretty darn good suspect in Holly's case for sure. But not the only suspect, like not really even close to the only suspect. And Lance, there is this podcast that was done by a guy named Richard Price that's called Holly's Been Taken. And it's really interesting, 6 episodes. And this guy he seems to have, known the family to some degree. And he seems to have done a really good job with this show. I don't think a lot of people heard it. So we reached out to him, and hopefully we can connect with him and do another interview and keep talking about this case a little bit. Seems like he's got much more information. Speaks about the brown pickup truck quite a bit. He's got a whole episode called David Pulot and another one called Rodney Stanger. That name sounds familiar as well when we're talking about these cases. So definitely looking forward to binging that show, and hopefully we get the chance to speak with Richard Price.
That would be great. It does seem like he's put a lot of work into this show, and doesn't seem like a whole lot of, let's get some people listening to this show, right?
Yeah, only 26 reviews on Apple, but all 5 stars. So it goes to show that it's a good production. But yeah, 26 reviews, not indicative of a huge audience. So yeah, I would like for people to check that out.
Yeah. And
And
am I reading this correct that this was published in 2022?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it looks like it. Yep. So not recently, but I was not aware of this until doing some research for our episode on Holly's case. And hey, we got a message here from Shacy. She says, "Hi, enjoying your show. Wondering if you've covered the Jared McCullough missing case." And no, I don't believe we have. I'll have to take a look at that case. McCullough missing. Yeah. No. Sounds interesting. So a man from Louisiana was driving to Illinois, but he disappeared in Indiana, apparently. This is an interesting one. Definitely going to have to look into that. Thank you, Shacy, for mentioning. And actually, yeah, we do just want to give a quick shout out to some of our members.
Please,
here.
let's do that.
Yeah, Belinda. Belinda is one of our members, and she's a frequent commenter. Big shout out to Belinda. Thank you very much, Belinda.
Where's Belinda from?
I think she's from Australia, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. I believe so. Right. Yeah.
I'll put another shrimp on the bobby.
And also Serena. Big shout out to Serena, who is a member on YouTube. And we've got some members on Patreon who have recently joined. That's Nicole G. We got Charlie G. We got MT and Nicole. So they are our newest $5 members on Patreon. You can find the Patreon page. And really, you know, that's probably the best way to subscribe to these shows, because you get Missing and Crawl Space all for $5. Like that is probably the way to do it. Apple is also a great way to subscribe. Apple Podcasts, everything for $5, all ad free, early releases on Apple as well. But if you go to Patreon and go to CSM Premium, that is our show. You'll get both shows ad free. So check that out there.
And I want to give a shout out to Heather as well, who joined on Patreon, and she hit a couple of those tiers that we're offering, but you get everything.
So yes.
Yes. Heather was very generous. So big shout out to you, Heather, for that. We appreciate it.
Yes. And all of our patrons, shout out Susan as well. And Lance, I know we spoke in this episode about Holly Perrine, and we spoke about how we're also in Massachusetts and, not far from the area where Holly went missing and was abducted from. My kids, including one who's 10 years old, just like Holly was, they're on their way to Sturbridge today for a quick outing. So
yeah,
definitely, I took some walks with the girls and our dog yesterday, and really just trying to tell them about stranger danger, and I have two daughters, 7 and 10. And I know when I was 10, I had already done a 4th grade project on serial killers. So I was very well aware of these topics. But, even though we do this work, I don't talk to them too much about this. Like I don't really beat it into their heads. Like it was feel like it was beat into my head quite a bit because of stranger danger in the early 80s. And this was kind of a new thing back then. But, up until this point, I've kind of just not wanted to freak them out. But I don't think that's the way to go at this point. Now that they're getting older, I think obviously making them aware of these harsh realities is the way to go, I think.
I would, I don't have kids, but I would agree. I think that you're always walking a fine line between being too protective and allowing them their freedom to kind of learn on their own. And even if that means like they get some sort of, injury or hurt in some way, that's a learning experience. That's a teachable moment. So those do have value. But then the other side of it is like, you don't want them to think that everything is out to get them, don't go in the woods because of ticks. Don't go into a supermarket parking lot because of strangers. I mean, at some point you have to say like, there is some stuff out here that is good, but
yeah, most things are good.
But these things happen. What we talk about, we're talking about Molly Bish and we're talking about Holly Preenan, and those things happen, and it doesn't. It's not a one-off. So kids have to be aware, have to always like know what to look for, when to like trust your gut. Kids have an incredible like gut sense about people and about things, and if you feel off about something, you're not wrong. The worst thing that'll happen is you call out a situation that somebody might have started to be like on some level inappropriate, because if you feel something's off, then something's off. So there's no embarrassment that should come with like running away from somebody, or just yelling for help or something like that, even if nothing's happened yet. If you had a bad feeling, that's listen to it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
I asked TED Talk on that.
I asked both my kids individually, what would you do if you were walking home from school alone?
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a likely occurrence. This has literally never happened. But in the scenario where it may have, and someone pulls up next to you in a car and they say, your parents are injured, they got hurt, they need me to take you to them in the hospital, get in the car, I'm going to take you to them. What would you say? And one of my daughters said, I would call him a big fat liar. And then I said, okay, good. And you got to run.
Yeah.
Run the opposite direction of the way the car is facing.
Yep.
And then my younger daughter said I would just run as an answer. I was like, okay, great. Well, you guys got the right answer. But something trickier is like, what if you know that person a little bit? Like what if it's a family member and an acquaintance or someone that you recognize? I mean, because in all reality, that's what typically happens in these scenarios, abductions or kidnappings or things like that. A lot of times it's not an absolute stranger. So a lot of times it's someone on the periphery of that life. So at that point, what do you do? And that's a much more difficult conversation to have.
Right. I think part of covering all the bases there is having that code word, right?
Yes.
That if someone approaches you and they say that one or both of your parents are in trouble, hurt, whatever, you have to ask them, what's the code word that my parents told you in order for me to know that this is safe? And I think that's great. And then the problem with that is like the person could say, well, they weren't able to speak. So then you have to come up with a backup, which is like, well, they have that code.
Just don't go. Yeah.
Just don't go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't really get into it any further at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I did have the conversation about the code word with the kids. We have not come up with one yet. But when I told my younger daughter, she was like, so I just tell him the code word? I was like, no, no, you wait for him or her to tell you the code word.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing you do is tell them the code word. So I'm not sure we're there yet with my youngest, but we're getting there. So yeah, definitely a journey. But yeah, definitely don't want to freak them out, and because we cover these stories every week and they're all tragic and they all end very sad tragedies. But that doesn't mean that every scenario ends that way.
No.
Big thanks, Jodie. Thank you, Jodie. She says, I recently found your channel and I'm loving it. Thank you. No, thank you, Jodie. We really appreciate it.
Well, you just made me think of an interview that we have coming up that I'm excited about, because you just said that, we do talk about these stories and they do happen, but they don't all end tragically. And we do have someone coming on the show in the next few days, and that'll be released in a week or so after they come on. She has a harrowing story about being abducted and kept in a soundproof chamber for 24 hours, and she escaped. So she'll be on. That's going to be incredible. So yes, they don't all end tragically. Some of them have very triumphant conclusions.
Yes, I know. Cannot wait to have that conversation. That is going to be really wild. That'll be coming up here in a couple of weeks. And Lance on Crawl Space this week. And hey, Jodie, you may not know, but we also do another show. It's called Crawl Space. You can find that on YouTube and all your podcatchers as well. And really, we do a lot of the same, similar, I should say, material. Interviews, but less focused on missing people specifically, more on, I guess, murders, serial killers, cultural aspects, culture, crime. But Lance, we spoke with Chris Connelly, formerly of MTV News, just this past week. And he told us all about the murder of Dr. Eric Garcia from Ketchikan, Alaska. And he hosts a podcast called Cold Blooded Murder in Alaska with the ABC 2020 team. And yeah, really great speaking with Chris Connelly. I love that he said he helped raise us. Thought that was really funny. Kind of did.
He kind of did. I think we even talked about that. We're just like, he was a staple in our living room and for my family in the 90s. And he's the second person that we've had on from MTV. So we're hoping to get as many people on. I know you have a very special one that you want to come on, but Chris Connelly, okay, go ahead with
there's a joke in the intro that I was like, yeah, just check out the intro. I don't want to make the same joke here.
I really missed the boat. I missed the opportunity to piggyback on your joke by not giving her Julie Brown's signature trademark thing that she did, that wubba wubba wubba. Do you remember that?
Oh geez, I do not remember
she used
that.
to say wubba wubba wubba. And yeah, I totally missed the boat on that. Anyway, so Chris Connelly, yeah, what a storyteller, and what an amazing shift in, I don't know if is it a shift in career paths, but you know, we remember him as the guy from MTV News and that whole crew that we just all knew. Every afternoon when we turned on the TV, they were always there. And I guess I didn't realize how much serious news they covered. Because after we talked to him, and we're going back over the show, the episode, he mentioned something about like, oh yeah, we covered this person and Tupac and Biggie, and we did a half hour on this person. And then I realized like, wow, they actually did some legit like news coverage. And so what he's transitioned into is working closely with ABC 2020 and doing these like investigative stories. And he's so good. He sounds so good. He behaves so well. Not like he's going to misbehave, but he just interacts very well. Well, he's from MTV, so.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, you know, like a guitar playing, long-haired, you know, punk at MTV. Yeah, like you said, he was reading the news, you know.
Yeah, he wasn't Pauly Shore.
Right. He wasn't wheezing the juice. He was reading the news. Yeah.
We should have Pauly Shore on.
Oh, I actually worked with him a long time ago, many years ago, briefly. Yeah. So Chris Connelly, he was such a pro in the interview. He really like went through the beats of the story, like it was an episode of 2020. Like he really hit the beats in order, like that they're hit in the episodes of 2020 and his new podcast. So it was really great speaking with him. It's like you're on track, and even if we tried to get off a track in that interview, we couldn't have. Like he wouldn't have let it happen. That's how much of a pro he is. You know, so that was really a great interview.
Yeah, there were two standout questions that we had asked that he would just take the answer to, and it would be at the tail end of it, but he would work his way to it by hitting those beats that you're talking about, which is remarkable. I think I asked him like how accepting the community was of same-sex relationships, and he finally answered, but he wove all around it until all of his necessary beats were met, and I was just blown away by that.
Yeah, and a really tragic story, pretty wild case about the murder of Dr. Eric Garcia in this really small town in Ketchikan, Alaska. And his friend, really his friend and lover, I suppose, actually killed him. And boy, it's pretty disturbing. The end of the story is pretty disturbing. And actually, I think in the 2020 episode, they do show a little bit of the video footage that Jordan Joplin took of Dr. Eric Garcia as he was dying.
Yeah, gasping for breath.
Yeah, really disturbing part. So the story unfolds in an interesting way in which it really kicks off because of this guy, Jordan Joplin's wellness check, this 911 call that he places for Dr. Eric Garcia. Everyone just thought Eric Garcia was at this conference. It's like a 9-day conference or something like that. And he wasn't supposed to be back yet, I don't think, or he maybe was supposed to get back right in around that time frame. So no one was really sounding the alarms except for this guy, Jordan Joplin. And turned out he drove his truck to the scene of to the site of his house, which is weird that he was driving his truck. He had his keys. He had the doctor's keys. Otherwise, the police would not have been able to get in. So pretty interesting stuff there. How it really develops and how the investigation ended up nabbing Jordan Joplin. Really because he tried to steal a bunch of gold, essentially gold and silver and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like rare bottles of scotch and just these collectibles that Dr. Eric Garcia was really obsessed with. He loved these collectibles. He loved giving them away to people because they were very unusual. You know, it was like these things that people just wouldn't expect to be gifted to them, like a very expensive, like single malt scotch or something. And yeah, Jordan like just made no real attempt to like cover himself. I mean, like the trail just led directly to him, and they were able to have a proper investigation and finally, you know, arrest him on theft, just to get him to a point where he was incarcerated, where he was charged with something. And then,
Right.
you know, they moved forward with the actual murder investigation once they found out that there was morphine in Dr. in Dr. Garcia's like toxicology report. So that's
Right.
how that was the death. And then, you know, that morphine led to Jordan. But what an interesting character Jordan turned out to be.
Yeah, I wonder some kind of narcissism there or something because, like you said, like he really didn't do like a great job in trying to cover his tracks, but instead what he did was try. You know, he thought he was like too smart
Yeah,
to get caught. Is
right.
really what it seems like.
Yeah,
You
that
know, because
wellness check like brought
yeah,
everybody to the home. And that's how Chris
yeah,
starts the
exactly.
story, where he's like, typically in crime fiction, this is the end of the story where all of the suspects are gathered, everybody who knew the victim are gathered. But Jordan just got that out of the way in the beginning by calling a wellness check in this small town, and everybody hears about it. You know, like certain people will hear about it. So, you know, essentially all of the suspects are gathered in the beginning.
Yeah. Really interesting stuff. So I hope you enjoy that conversation and check out that podcast. Definitely good stuff.
Yeah, and
Really
also
good
I just want to
journalism there.
mention how great that podcast and Chris's work on it is, because it's very focused on like the community's like deep roots and Dr. Garcia's impact on the community. He was one of only 2 surgeons there, and every day would literally save a life, and everybody loved him. And he had some flaws, but you know, the storytelling is highly focused on this man and his impact on the community, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
I don't think downtown Julie Brown could do such a good job.
Yeah, I don't know. What's she been up to lately? I just don't know.
She does some hosting stuff. I looked her up. She was
Does she?
British, and she does some like
Yeah.
British hosting stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking Kurt Loder. Remember Kurt Loder?
Yeah, I was gonna use him as the punchline in that joke, but it just didn't sound as funny as
It's
downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah, Kurt Loder needs to have a, you know, nickname, a zingy nickname.
Yeah, exactly. And also, Lance, this weekend we are releasing a conversation we had with Dr. David Perlmutter about the disappearance and also likely abduction of Jodie Husen from Mason City, Iowa in 1995. And this is a pretty well-known story. We've spoken about her case on these airwaves before, maybe 6 months ago or so. There is a Hulu documentary out about her disappearance and abduction. And Dr. David Perlmutter is an expert in really breaking down media and how the media and crime intersect. And so that is sort of the focus of the conversation is like, we look at some of the earliest reportings of the facts and what does it mean? What does it mean about what happened to Jodie. It's really an interesting conversation to sort of analyze some of that, the minutia in the case, the timeline.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting that David always wants to talk about the media angle, and Jodie's story is highly centered on media because she was a news anchor. She was a media kind of pseudo celebrity, like a micro celebrity in her area. Everybody knew her. So it was the conversation about who did it, the conversation about how the media covered it, and then how the media covered one of their own, which is sort of really interesting kind of layer to peel back, where her coworkers were having internal conversations about over coverage on her. And obviously they want her like they want some answers here. So they're talking about like what's the best strategy? Are we over covering it? It just must have been such a surreal conversation to have when one of your own that's so familiar to everybody disappears and there's obvious signs of foul play. Like how far do you go? And then you don't want to like undercover it. You don't want to have, you know, the perception out there that people are forgetting about Jodie. So that's another thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really interesting stuff. Yeah. And they, Jodie's friends and former coworkers, they launched a website called findjodie.com. And it's very informative. They have a lot of articles on there, timelines, videos, things like that. Any update in Jodie's case, you can find something written about it there on findjodie.com. That's Jodie, Jodi. Lance, and Dr. David D. Perlmutter was dean of the College of Media and Communication at Texas Tech University, but he is now a full-time professor there. So that is why we focus on media and communication when we speak with him, because that is his expertise.
Mm-hmm. We're so lucky to have someone like him in our orbit, because there are these stories that kind of fall in these categories that have a lot of gray area to them, and just his work that he's put into it, his research, we kind of always leave the conversation learning a lot more than we did entering the conversation, and it's knowledge that we never thought that we would have. Hey, Ben from Wales.
Yeah.
Wales. Wow.
I know, right? Hello, yeah. Ben. What's going on?
Oh, I wanted to say it was also very refreshing to have a conversation with David Perlmutter and talk about Jodie, and then have this conversation about like, it's so frustrating that somebody can just get lucky and commit a crime so perfectly, even though it looks so messy, but a few things of luck fall in their place and then they can get away with it for 30 years. That is a complete counter to the conversation that we had with Chris Connelly about Dr. Eric Garcia and Jordan Joplin. Like, Jordan was very messy in the crime, but the investigation came together in such a way where he was apprehended and he was convicted. So we got two sides there, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think luck plays a big role in these investigations and whether or not someone gets away with crime or not. Yeah, exactly. And Lance, we also have, we also spoke with Trevor Aronson and Ellie Knight about their show Into the Madness, which is an Audible original about a mass shooter from a 4th of July parade in Chicago several years ago. And the show is great. Really gets into like the conspiracy culture behind mass shootings. And that is kind of a weird thing, isn't it? That most times like there's like a mass shooting, like I don't know, they seem like highly radicalized. I mean, obviously, right, if they've gotten to that point.
Right. Something has radicalized them, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I don't even understand how young or old the person has to be radicalized, because you can have someone who's in their 50s and 60s suddenly have this radicalization happen, but then you have Robert Kremo, I think that's how Robert Kremo, who perpetrated the Highland Park shooting that we're talking about here in 2022. And that radicalization happened very quick for him because he's like 19, 20 years old. You know, when did this all start coming together for him? When did he start piecing together all of these moments or whatever details in his life that made sense to him in a way where there are conspiracies and a belief so strong that he took an AR-15 to a high elevation and just fired off something like 83 shots and remarkably only killed 7 people, but I think the injury was up to like 48 or something like that. But what is it? You know, like I believe in stuff pretty strongly, but not that strongly. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
the conspiracy
That guy
theories and
Bobby.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. You know, we can't avoid it these days. And you know, they have gotten more dangerous. It feels like as we've gone into the future here. Yeah, I don't know. That guy Bobby Kremo there seems like a total contradiction. Like as far as, I don't know, he doesn't believe things are real. I think that's ultimately why he shot at people at all, was because he didn't think that it was real. He thought this was some kind of simulation or whatever. And I don't know. I do wonder about that. You know, how like scientists have talked about like the simulation aspect of, you know, reality in the past, especially in like the past 5 years, that has come to light as far as like some scientists really believing in that. Like, I kind of wonder if that had something to do with radicalizing him, like that idea that we're trapped in a simulation. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think that that's one of the most prevalent kind of conspiracies that's out there, right? If that's, you know, to be considered a conspiracy or just like a fun, you know, I don't know, mental exercise or something. But at some point, Robert Cremo took all of those thoughts of simulation and the role playing games and made this moment into that. You know,
Yeah.
was it this shooting that there was like a point system, or was that? See, isn't this terrible? Was that the Aurora shooting, where there was a
I'm
point
not
system
sure.
based on?
I didn't hear anything about that in this story.
Yeah, that certain humans, based on this role playing game, certain humans have like a certain amount of points. So
Right,
if,
right.
yeah, if you're killing a person like this, then they're 10 points, and a person like this, so it becomes like a game that has points associated with it. I don't think it was this shooting, and I'm actually
No, I
just
think
remembering it now. I
yeah.
think it was another one. It might have been Aurora, but I'm not sure. But I'm just remembering this now. Like, I wish I would have remembered this during the conversation with Trevor and Ellie, because that's when you get into that, what you're talking about. Like, there's actual like cause and effect. There's actual uh action and reward, you know, to this. There's a yin and yang to that now, because
Mhm.
now you're gaining points. Now it's now there's some like tangible-ish purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Negative
I'm sick
points.
of hearing about
Yeah, I mean, my God. Yeah. Um, yeah, it is one of those things, like you got to dive into it to some degree though. In order to just try to find out why it happened, to try to figure out how to prevent it in the future, you know?
it. Yep. Oh, we got some people
Um,
commenting here
yeah.
on some cases. Sebastian Rogers.
Yeah, I've heard of this case. I know Nancy Grace has covered it, but I have not really dug into it. But she says Jodie mentions it seems to have gone cold. Well, that's a good time to do an episode, then I would say. So this might be a good one to look into and cover soon.
Yeah, and I
And
think it's
yeah,
interesting that it's gone cold. It's only from last year. It's
it's
February
recent.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will. Yes, we will. Hey, if anybody out there who's listening, who's chatting with us, if you're good at putting together research docs, you should just email us. We love having our research documents put together by passionate folks like yourselves. Let's put the email
Right.
address here. I'm going to do dig at
Yeah.
crawlspace.
Missing at crawlspacepodcast.com.
Okay, I'll put that in here.
And here's Astria. She says, or Estrella, hey guys, have you talked about the father that is charged with murdering his 9-year-old daughter, Melina, and he dumped her body in my town? I have not heard about that. Let us know which town or what the name of the case is. I can
Yeah.
look that up though, but no, that sounds really tragic.
Yeah, I started Googling 9-year-old Melina, and that's where I stopped.
Yeah. Okay. Lance, I do want to mention that we maybe have the most exciting interview of the year next week. I don't want to oversell it, but I sure as hell am not going to undersell it. This interview we have with an author named Eli Frankel, who wrote a book called Sisters in Death. And we're speaking with him next Wednesday. That episode should be out in a couple weeks or so. He wrote a new book. The book is coming out in October. It's called Sisters in Death. It's about the Black Dahlia case and the Prairie Heiress case. Prairie Heiress case happened in Kansas. Geez, I don't remember the year, but Layla Welsh is her name. And Elizabeth Short is, of course, the Black Dahlia from Los Angeles. She was murdered there. So 2 murder victims. This author is saying that he's basically solving both cases. He's connecting the murders to one killer. And I have to say, it was an absolutely riveting read. Definitely one of my favorite book reads in the past decade, really since we've started doing this work. So I hope you all like it, and whether or not you think he's right or not, I think it would be really interesting either way. But essentially, with the Dahlia case, he's looking down the list of suspects a little bit. He's not coming up with the first, second, or third suspect on the list. He's actually going deeper than that. And I think it's maybe the fourth most likely suspect, in that case that has sort of developed over the years, but really didn't have many people believing that Carl Balsiger did it. But this book may open folks' eyes, and I really cannot wait to speak with Eli Frankel about this.
Yeah, that's going to be a great conversation. The website for the book is up there on the screen right now. It's sistersindeath.com. And you're right. Like, the book is one of the best reads that I've had so far this year because it is so detailed. It's so rich with like atmosphere and alternative theories that are refreshing to hear, that actually kind of challenge you. So that's good. The Black Dahlia can oftentimes go down this sort of cut and paste conversation where, oh, her body, oh, her time in Hollywood. You can get a real generic version of it, a real vanilla version, or you can get the one that Eli Frankel put together, which will challenge you, which is awesome. So yeah, give that book a read.
Yeah, and he's got several details or facts presented in the book that I can't wait to talk to him about, because I just need to know where they're from. And he has, I'm not kidding when I say this, there's like 50 pages of source notes at the end of the book.
Right.
He goes through every detail from every page and says where I learned this. And the very beginning of the book talks about how everyone has it wrong about how Elizabeth Short was found. Her body was not found upright and near the sidewalk. She was not placed on her back with her legs just beneath her torso. So says Eli Frankel. He says she was placed in a very different way that was held back by the investigation. So really, as far as I know, this is the first time that this is out there in the public, sort of letting go of this holdback information about how Elizabeth Short's body was truly found. So yeah, I don't know. I can't mention how excited I am to speak about this story. We may need 2 hours with Eli.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. 'Cause it's good. Part of it's just going to be like a fandom thing. We're just going to completely compliment this guy until he's sick of it, and then we'll actually start talking about the book.
Well, he spent 5 years on it. And he really doesn't have like a true crime author background. Like he's a TV producer. But he was just really into true crime and spent 5 years writing this book. So it's really, really wild. Definitely cannot wait to speak with him. So look for that coming soon.
Yeah. And Australia.
Yep. Yes.
Mentioned the 9-year-old. Is this Melina Fratellin? I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Lance, before we go, I just want to ask you about an update on your health, because last time we did one of those, or one of these bonus shows, we spoke about your
My
was
back.
it a slip disc in your back?
Well, it's a ruptured disc.
Ruptured
That,
disc.
yes, caused acute left side sciatica pain. I just want to give a shout out to Susan, who heard the story about me seizing up and recommended, based on some experience that she had with an injury, these patches that I thought maybe the patches that I was using, like the lidocaine patches, might have contributed to me seizing up a couple days after the injury, which, again, by the way, was a 30 on a scale of 1 to 10 for pain. It's the kind, did I mention this? Like, it's the kind of pain where someone's like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but I would, because that's why you have an enemy. You know, you don't have an enemy to be nice to. So yes, it was the kind of pain that I would wish on my worst enemy, and just kind of say like, see, that hurts, right? Anyway, so Susan heard, and she sent me some patches that she used when she was recovering from an injury. And yeah, those things, you get the right combination and it works. And I still have the cane that I hobble around on, but that's mostly as a precaution. I can walk around on my, own power, probably like, 75% of the time now. I will right now be a huge advocate for medicinal gummies.
Yes.
Huge advocate for that. Huge advocate for cryotherapy. I spent some time in a cryo chamber. Not as crazy as people think. People hear that and they think like, Walt Disney, like I'm gonna Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Nope, you're in like a big freezer. That definitely helps. And the gummies. I mean, they had me taking like thousands of milligrams of Tylenol and ibuprofen, and I did that based on the prescription and their recommendation. And I was just like, this is terrible. Like, it's gonna be ripping my kidneys apart. Like, I feel weird doing this. So I went to a dispensary and told the person, I don't want to feel high. I don't want to feel weird. I don't want to do anything that is going to make me feel like I'm outside of my body. I just have sciatica pain, and they were great. They worked with me, and they gave me these. I wish I had the case bag with me. I'd give a shout out to them. It's Betty's Eddies is really the name of the brand of the edibles, and they have these ones called Acheaway Eddies, and a miracle, absolute miracle. The only thing that I feel is no pain, which is awesome. Limited.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just pop their website up. So that's my update on the health. I mean, I'm not going to be 100% back for at least like over a year.
Really?
Well, the disc itself to heal on its own without surgery takes 23 months. So
wow.
Yeah. I was training for a half marathon. That's done. I probably won't run for like at least another year and a half. So if anybody has some good bike recommendations, I've been looking into getting a bicycle.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm going to take some edibles and hop on a bike.
All right. Well, don't fall.
Oops, I put the wrong one on the screen. There we go. That's Betty's Eddies, everybody.
All right, everyone. And thanks a lot for listening over here, everyone. We will be back next week, hopefully with another bonus show. And we will definitely be back this week and with some new episodes. So look for those. Got plenty of really interesting interviews next week too, Lance. I don't want to get too deep into all of these interviews, but I might be very excited about our Monday afternoon interview as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was super excited when Trevor Aronson and Ellie Knight came on. The story was really like intriguing to me. And I was just like kind of like a goofball in the beginning of that episode. I was like giddy talking to them. So yeah, bring it. I think it adds a really good energy.
Good. All right, everyone. Well, thanks a lot for listening. We really appreciate your support. We will be back with new episodes in the next few days. Thanks a lot.